Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to look at resting in the fullness of experience. And this is part of this ongoing series of videos where I look at these 9 ways of looking from stillness. So resting in the fullness of experience, this is very much related to intimacy and connection. And it's about this recognition that we already are completely intimate. We're already completely connected. That when we look at our experience, what we experience is one thing that we divide up, that we kind of carve up into objects, but we actually experience it as one thing. And it's that dividing of things up into objects and then creating stories about those objects that make us feel disconnected and are the cause of kind of much of our woes in life. But that, and of course, one of the big kind of carving up we do of our experience is we carve it up in this sense as this sense of me that's separate from everything else. But actually, when we look at our experience, we experience just one thing. There's not experience; it just comes as a one thing. There is no, the divisions are always something we do, through our mind and through thinking. But experience just comes, as I say, as one thing. And this is why our attempts to find connection and our attempts to achieve intimacy end in failure, because it's the stuff we're doing that's actually preventing it rather than getting it, because you can't get something that's already the case. All you can do is recognize that it's the case, that the sense of separation that we have is created by the way we're relating to life. And that if we open our awareness and start experiencing this as one thing, that's what we're actually looking for. And in the same way, so I often kind of use the idea of a dream, the analogy of a dream, where in the dream, if we have a dream at night time, there can be this sense that there's me in the dream, there's other people in the dream, and there's the scenery of the dream. And it can feel in the dream as if I'm walking around in this scenery and I'm engaging with other people. But of course, that dream is just one thing. Those objects in the dream are not made of anything. They're all made, or they're all made of the same thing. There is only one thing there. And what I'm saying is this is the same for our waking experience, which to me is another kind of dream, that it's all just one thing that we carve up to make sense of it. But that carving up is not real. And this is why, if you look at, say, Zen Buddhism, and particularly that teacher Dogen, he had that incredibly wonderful saying where he described awakening as intimacy with the 10,000 things. What that means is this kind of realization that it's just one thing. And so he was using this intimacy with the 10,000 things, like the 10,000 things is everything. That when we kind of see our experience as one thing, that sense of being separate and being alone and being disconnected disappears. I've mentioned before in previous videos, I had this incredible experience in my early 20s where just out of complete nowhere, that sense of separation fell away and there was only one thing here. And what's kind of happened since then, over the decades since then, is I grew into that experience, and that's how I experience it now, because that's how it actually is. It's our mind kind of only creates a sense of separation. And you can kind of say that sense of separation is useful in that it makes life easier to manage. But it also kind of comes at a high cost to our well-being, and that we feel kind of lost and disconnected and lonely. And this was such a huge part of my own struggles in life. I was trying so hard to feel connected, and I was trying so hard to feel connected to other people. And I spent many years trying to get people to like me, or trying to get people to behave in a way where I felt safe to like them. But of course, those ideas of what was causing this sense of separation. That there's nothing anybody has to do, or that I have to do, for us to be connected, because you kind of see there's only one experience happening. It already is all connected. That and it's that realization, that the idea that we need people to behave in a certain way, or we need for them to like us, for us to be connected or intimate with them, that's an illusion. And it's purely created by thinking that way. And it's a way we learn to think that way. We're kind of we're taught to kind of to disconnect from other people. But that sense of disconnection from other people is an illusion. There is no way to disconnect from other people, because we're experiencing our interpretation of other people within our experience, this one experience. When we rest into the fullness of experience, when we open our awareness just to experience what's here now as one thing, this is I use that word fullness. It just feels incredibly full. It just feels this real sense of relaxing into it. It's like putting all of our our normal, say, issues and burdens aside, because all of those issues come from seeing the world as broken up into different things, and as I say, creating stories about those different things. That once we just relax into the fullness, all of those issues are no longer there. That in order for those issues to be there, we have to come out of that sense of fullness into the details of the experience. So there's different ways that maybe we can start experiencing this fullness, and it's very important that when we go into the fullness, that we're with a sense of relaxing into it. And luckily it already happens to be the case, and all we really have to do is to recognize that that's the case. That we just, instead of dividing the world up into, say, different senses and into objects, we just open our awareness, just relax our awareness, and until what we experience is just this one thing. And sure, the mind will keep on trying to kind of put some order into it, and it'll keep on kind of moving back to details. But we keep on opening the awareness again to experience the fullness of the experience. So say you're experiencing the fullness of the experience, and then you notice maybe an ache, say, in your leg. The mind will want to concentrate down to that, but always do is we open up the awareness again until once again we're experiencing the fullness of that experience, and very importantly, that we recognize the fullness in that we recognize the peace in that. For some, the way this works, that in order for us to, we have to, in order for us to kind of to have that sense of fullness and that sense of wholeness and that sense of intimacy. As I say, it's always there, but the important thing is recognizing it. Like, we have to recognize it, because this is always the case, and our problem is that we just don't recognize it. So that's just something to play around with, and thanks very much for watching.